In 2023, all the climate calculations was done within the Proton Group. What was the result?
You can say that we have two main findings in the results. Firstly, we have roughly 40% within scope 1. And these scope 1s, almost everything is coming from the use of LPG. So that's a good finding. And the second big part is from scope 3 and the purchased goods. And there we have two things that really stands out, and that is the use of powder in these kind of facilities and also the use of zinc. So that is the results and the main findings of the calculations.
But you also had a really high number there with powder, I remember.
Yes, if we look at scope 3 emissions, a very big part is coming from the powder. I don't remember in head the exact number, but it's a main part together with the zinc. So to reduce the consumption of powder, to use it efficiently, is a very important issue because we are working to eliminate the use of LPG, and then the powder will be number 2. So we have to work very hard with the hanging, the efficiency of that, and to use maybe also powder from different sources in the future. But we have worked a little bit with the supplier, you might know.
Yes, we know.
HangOn to really work with the efficiency of the hanging, and by doing that, reducing the energy, the powder consumption, and also the waste from these processes.
So transfer efficiency in the application and a low amount of waste powder is very important for you here at Proton.
Yes, it is. And by accident, you also get lower use of energy when you do this.
Absolutely. Finishing is a quite energy-consuming process, and I know that you have been working hard with the CO2 footprint from your purchased energy.
Yes, we have.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Of course, we work a lot to reduce the consumption of energy. There are many different factors that really drives this thing now. Also the price of the energy purchased, but also the emissions from it. Electricity, we use environmentally certified hydropower, so the climate footprint of our purchase of electricity is very low. But we have to work with it anyway. Every saved kilowatt hour is a good kilowatt hour, so we can use the money for something else and also use the energy for something else too, the electrification, for example, in the society. But the main focus right now is to reduce the use of LPG, because it's really given us a very big footprint. It consists of almost 50% of total Proton Group emissions within scope 1 and 2. So it's significant. And we have worked a lot with that, invested a lot of time and knowledge in, for example, controlling the operations of one of our big boilers. And there we have saved a lot of energy. In 2 years, we have reduced the climate footprint with approximately 800 tons from this boiler.
So 800 tons just coming from one heating source.
Yes.
That is enormous numbers.
Yes.
Well done. If we assume that your electricity had a CO2 equivalent of 400 grams per kilowatt hour,
yeah.
Could you give us a rough estimations how it would increase your CO2 emissions?
Yeah, from the purchased amount of energy now, I think it's roughly 14,000 megawatt hours of electricity we are buying for these 6 finishing companies. So quite a lot. We have emissions of 120 tons. That's not so much compared to the energy consumption. If we would switch that to 400 grams per kilowatt hours, we will have roughly 5,500 tons instead. So it's
5,500.
yeah, so that's a very, very big difference. So the Swedish energy system with this opportunities to use very clean energy sources is an advantage in this work. We try to take down the total emission in tons to relate it to our production somehow. And because we are a group with very different operations, we have been taking it into relation with worked hours, if you see it for the total group. But every company and area has the opportunity to relate it to something, a factor that is more close to their operation. And for example, the surface treatment plants, they have put this into relation of the surface treated area. So we have an emission for each square meter that we are producing in our factors. And we have reduced it on the Proton Group level from, I think it was around 8 to a little bit below 6 grams per worked hour.
Now we have been talking about the climate calculations, but maybe more interesting is what is the practical conclusions. What is the prioritized actions for Proton to reduce climate footprint and achieve your goal to be climate neutral, scope 1 and 2, in 2035?
Yes, I would say that the results from the calculations, they show really clear that we have to reduce the use of LPG. We have to focus on trying to eliminate that and to change that into some biogenic fuel instead, or electrifications in some way. But also it stresses the point to really look at the raw material efficiency, that we are using the products we are buying, the powder for example, in a good way, put it on the product, not in the waste bin. And also that we need to have these cooperations with suppliers to find different ways to produce these powders, for example, that is more raw material and energy efficient, and maybe use different raw materials. We cannot do that by ourselves.
I think we are all into this together.
Yeah.